Hi, I'm Trisha, and I'm with eMyth. It's so great to be here today. I am I was really excited and delighted when we were approached to be part of Jobber's Professional Development Day. Sounds like such a great event. I'm so excited to be here. And especially, I hear that we have a lot of fans out there who have read our book, The eMyth Revisited. I'm not surprised because the book has been around quite a while and it actually enjoys a pretty prominent place in the business literature world out there. It's one of the top 100 business books written of all time. So that doesn't only make Michael feel great, but it makes us all at eMyth feel great to know that it's still relevant and it's still being um, read and referenced and passed around out there with business owners around the world. So excited to be here. And you know what's funny? I'm never surprised about people who have recognized the book, read the book, heard about the book. But one of the things I'm still very surprised about is even after being with eMyth for 20 years, that not a lot of people know that there's also a coaching company that was actually that was a result of the book. We developed the coaching company because there were so many business owners that started writing Michael and saying, how do I go about this idea of working on my business, right? What does that really look like? How do I take the big ideas and the philosophy and all the things that people read in the book and actually start to put that to work in my business so that I can create a business that not only works well, but that works and is not dependent on me or other people in my business, that as an entrepreneur, I create something that has value that someday I can sell. So, the whole concept of eMyth, the eMyth Revisited, and for those of you that haven't read the book, it stands for the entrepreneurial myth, which is, and then it goes on to talk about, which is why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. So it's a book about being a small business owner and how to shift your mind into thinking more entrepreneurially about your business and building something that not only has great value and delivers great products and services to your customers, but also is an asset for you, the owner. So we have a big mission at eMyth to get the word out about how to do this. And so being part of today's Professional Development Day, I thought to myself, what is it that I could bring that I think has huge value to any and all businesses and is a foundational element of any business that is like one of those core pieces that every business needs to have? And so when we were talking about topics and I was being focused a little bit more towards how to build, great customer relationships and talk about customer service, I thought to myself, there's actually a tool that not only does that, but brings to life the entire idea of what's so important about your business. And I actually titled the session, The Experience is the Product. And I want to start with that concept right there. So think about that for just a moment. The experience is the true product of your business. The experience. So the entire experience that someone has, that a customer has in doing business with you, in receiving your service, in buying your product, is truly the product of your business. And as an entrepreneur, if you think about it that way and you focus on the entire experience, then what you do is you develop a business that end to end has all of the kind of foundational and operational strength it needs to perform well, to be profitable, to be able to scale. So I thought to myself, I want to bring a tool that's going to help you with one of those core elements to create that for your business. So when you think about the experience is the true product of your business, let's just all kind of dive into our own personal experience with other businesses and see if you think this is true. For me, one of the things that I think about a lot is, as an example, let's say you go to a restaurant. We'll just use that because almost everybody probably here today has gone out and eaten in restaurants, even though it's a little tricky these days with COVID. You go to a restaurant because you've heard about their menu, you've heard about their food. They have exquisite cuisine. Their chef is celebrated, and on it goes. So you go to the restaurant to have this, experience, right? But not just of the food, of the entire restaurant. So how many of you ever gone and been excited to experience this food and this chef and the menu, only then to have something else about your experience go wrong or be disappointing? Let's say you go in, the meal is fantastic, but the service ends up being terrible, or the servers are snooty and cold and don't make you feel warm and welcome. And suddenly your whole experience of that particular business is changed. So that's an easy one to wrap our heads around when I talk about this idea of the experience is the true product. But there are other businesses where I'm imagining you ordered, let's say, a certain widget or gizmo, and you love this thing. But let's say something about the shipping, maybe it came and there was a little bit of a damage or something, and then you call the company, you call their support line, or maybe you can't even find their support line on their website, and suddenly you don't know what to do because you got this product, but now you can't use it. Or you call the support team, and again, they're not helpful. You have to wait for 20 minutes to get in the queue to talk to somebody, yada, 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 right? So I think I'm making my point that I want you to all kind of step out, kind of zoom out and think about your business end to end and look at the entire experience that you're providing and really come from the new perspective. And maybe it's not new for all of you, but really from this idea that that is the true product of your business. So that's the first thing I wanted to start with us today, because the tool and the ideas that I'm going to share with you really reinforce you being able to do this and have a way to make sure that you're looking at your entire business from the perspective of your customer and delivering that great experience. So when the tool, I'm just going to tell you what it is now, and then I'm going to jump back to it in just a moment. But the tool is actually called a brand promise. Now, how many of you have ever heard of a brand promise? Go ahead and chat in and see if this is kind of share with one another, if this is kind of a newer concept for you, or if it's something that maybe you've already developed in your business. I'd just love to know. There's a lot of ways that people think about the brand promise. Some people think of it more as a kind of a marketing piece. It's more of a tagline, or some people have a unique selling proposition which distinguishes their business kind of more from that, like, again, marketing tagline way. But that's not really a brand promise as we think about it at eMyth. So I'd be curious if any of you have a brand promise, you might chat that in too, because then I can take a look and kind of see if that's the similar idea that we're coming with here and that we work with our clients to develop. Okay, so that's the first thing. The brand promise, and when you think about that word brand, this is why it's so powerful, because again, the experience of your business, the entire design of your business, it in sum total creates what we call a brand. So I think it wasn't too long ago, I read something by a quote or a statement by Jeff Bezos, who said, "Your brand is something that people talk about you when you're not in the room." So your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So I think that is so true. And part of the brand promise in orchestrating and designing what you want people to say, how you want them to feel about your business, is the key behind this tool. And it's not a marketing tool. The word brand tends to have people think, oh, this is kind of just in the marketing area of my business. It's really not. It's a leadership and management tool that actually touches all of your business. So at eMyth, we look at an entire business from a development framework. We have what we call our 7 essential systems that any business owner, as they're looking at their business and developing it, they go to work on each of these 7 systems. And so leadership is a system, marketing is a system, Finance is a system, management is a system, customer fulfillment is a system, lead conversion or sales is another system, and then finally, the seventh system is lead generation. So I've just described for you the sort of holistic framework that we use to go into a business and look at every aspect of it and develop what we call, a great leadership system, a great marketing system, a great finance system, all of those areas of the business. And today, the brand promise, it's leadership and management, but it really goes into play first and foremost in the customer fulfillment system of your business. And that's where your service or your product is produced, delivered, and then service or support. So you've got a set of systems in your business that you're going to want to focus on once you have this brand promise to make sure that each one of those systems, each one of those activities that you do in that part of your business actually delivers on your promise. And that's really at the heart of it, is you're going to make a promise to your customers. And then everything you do, every system, every process that you design in your business has this as its basis. Does this help us keep our promise, or does this actually break our promise? And you can do that and ask that question with every single aspect of your business. Is how we answer the phone here help us keep our promise, or is the fact that we use an answering service that takes 20 minutes to get on the line with a person, does that keep our promise or does that break our promise? Now, I'm not saying don't use voicemail systems and things like that. If they're well designed, they're fantastic. I'm just using that because it's one of the easiest to point to where sometimes companies don't think through, wow, that's just a little thing, but it actually has an impact on how your customer feels about your business. Did you know that 70% of buying experiences are based on how the customer is feeling or how they're being treated? That may be something that you've heard before. Maybe it might be a different stat, but that actually comes from McKinsey, the consulting, the big international consulting firm. But McKinsey did a study and they found that 70% of customers base their buying on how they feel and how they're treated from the moment they contact you, or the moment they go to your website, how easy it is to navigate or whatever. Another 40% of customers, and this one you may have heard of from some reference or another, but 40% of customers who have a bad experience won't complain, won't let you know about it. They just stop doing business with you. 40%. So you don't even have an opportunity to make it right. They just have an experience and they are gone. And then the last thing is knowing that you've got this incredible percentage of customers basing their decisions on how they feel, and a whole bunch of customers that are actually leaving if they don't have a good experience and they have a complaint. Then you have to consider the cost of what it is to replace those customers. And you probably have all heard this statistic before, which is it takes 6 to 7 times more to replace an existing customer than it does to keep them. So this is an argument for when you decide that you're going to create your brand promise and you're going to make a promise through your business, then sometimes you have to weigh whether the investment of doing certain things to keep that promise is worth it or not. That's always going to be the case. You're always weighing those different aspects of what you're choosing to do and not choosing to do, whether you should add maybe a resource or a staff person to maybe answer that phone live, or whether that's a cost that you don't feel like you can afford. Just remember, weigh that against, if it helps you keep your promise and it helps you retain your customers and give them a great experience, the investment may very well be worth it. So let's get back to talking about the brand promise. Okay, so Um, Again, I'm not, I'm not assuming you don't have a brand promise in your business. I just want you to understand what we mean at eMyth by a brand promise, and maybe it'll take what you have and actually amplify what you're doing or check in with what you're doing. Or if you've never considered creating a brand promise, this will be an amazing opportunity for you to add this to your business, to bring this back, put it into your business, talk to your people about it, and help orient how everybody shows up and how everything you do begins to either keep your promise to your customer or potentially could break a promise to your customer. And one of the things about this languaging and calling it the brand promise is, again, everybody knows, we all know, it starts when we're kids, that if something is promised to us, right, we expect it. We absolutely are like, of course, I've been promised this. And then so if a promise is broken or not kept, how does that make you feel? I mean, it's that core, right? It's that basic to human nature, this idea. But the brand promise, as we get into this, remember, is a leadership and management tool. It's not a marketing tool. So it's not even something that you actually tell your customers what it is. That's probably pretty surprising, because you're probably thinking, well, if I'm going to make a promise, I'm going to let them know what it is. That's not necessarily true. You can have a version that maybe is your marketing tagline that relates. We have that at eMyth. Our sort of shortened tagline version of our brand promise is lift your business, love your life. Because we want to help business owners create a business that serves their life, a business that is successful and brings all the benefits and their dreams of having their own business to reality and makes a better life for them. So a shortened part of our brand promise, lift your business, love your life, has an expression that we put out front to clients who come to look at eMyth and maybe come and do the coaching program and want to work on their business with us. But behind that, there's a whole other statement that we have that is internal, that is just known by our leadership and management and every member of our team. And we use it, as I said, to guide every decision we make about designing a system or a process, or even choosing something, like an app or something that a customer may use. Is it going to help us keep our promise and deliver that extraordinary experience that we want? So another type of brand promise that I'll just give you a little hint about. I worked with, there's a couple of companies I worked with that came to a brand promise like this, and it was something like on time, every time, exactly as promised. Now, that's a more bold statement that could be customer facing, but whatever your business does, whatever product or whatever service you're delivering, think about that one. If you could say on time, every time, exactly as promised, what would that mean to your business? So those are just a couple of examples. So let's get into this. So like I've said, the use of the word brand in the eMyth world is because we see that as the experience of your entire business. So that's why we call it a brand promise, not a customer promise, or a management promise, or whatever else you could say. But it's the sum total of your brand, and it's the promise you're making to your customers each and every day. So it's a statement. It's a short statement that describes, this is very important, how you want your customers to feel in every interaction with your business. Okay, so it describes the one thing that you can promise to deliver above and beyond everything else. And it also differentiates your business from your competitors. So there's another phrase that comes out of eMyth that we use quite often, and it's called the way we do it here. So your brand promise becomes the supporting element of the way we do it here. the way we answer the phone here, the way we show up to a customer's home to install a product or deliver our service, the way we pack our trucks, the way we sign off at the end of the day, the way we send out our billing statements, the way we design our website. Everything has a way which then incorporates who you are and what distinguishes you from your clients. I'm going to take that off. I'm getting a little warm here. So thinking about the definition as a short statement, so 1, 2, maybe at the most 3 sentences. Okay, this is not a big paragraph. This is not a little short tagline, but it's a statement that describes how you want your customers to feel in every interaction with your business. So I should have said as we started, if you've got something to take notes on, or you've got an iPad that you're, with all the sessions you're attending, I'm sure you're taking in a lot of information. But the good news is that we're going to make this particular guide and set of worksheets on how to create your brand promise available to you. So in the chat, you'll see a link to 2 documents that you'll be able to download and bring back into your business so that you can work on your brand promise, get it created, maybe involve your managers. You could even involve your entire team. And then there's guidance on how you roll it out and then how it starts to inform everything you do in your business. So the experience of your business is fantastic from beginning to end. Okay, so the steps of creating the brand promise are, first, you want to describe, again, with lots of adjectives and how you want people to feel. You want to do some brainstorming. Describe your overall customer experience. Okay, so when you think about when your customer comes to you and how they travel through your business, like what happens first, what happens next, how do you describe the overall experience? That's the first place we start. Next is you want to identify the heart of the customer experience. Okay, so again, it's a lot of just getting descriptions out, describing things, remembering that you want to talk about how your customers, how you want them to feel. And in the worksheet that you'll also get to say, if we could choose what our customers say about us when we're not in the room, what would we want them to say? So this just starts to prime the pump a little bit and get some ideas out. And again, if you can do this on a whiteboard or you can do this with a team in a brainstorming session, it's fantastic because it starts to bring everybody into the importance of what's going to happen in developing this brand promise, rolling it out in the business, and living with it from here on out. Okay. So once you do that, you'll begin to start to see some words that really mean something, or maybe come up in several instances, like in terms of what you want your customer to say. You want them to say, wow, I've never had someone take as much care with how they did this. Wow, they were the friendliest technicians that I've ever encountered in having this done, whatever it might be. I mean, words like, yeah, so I felt incredibly confident. I felt excited. I felt safe. I felt taken care of. All of those kinds of words. You want to think about the universe of those and what is it, that you want your customers to say and feel. That's the first thing. And then what you can do is you can start with that sentence of, in every interaction with our business, we want our customers to feel ... Okay, so then you write a draft statement. Okay, at eMyth, with every interaction with our business, we want our clients to feel inspired, confident, and empowered to build a business that gives them more life. So that's a piece of ours. And the most important words there are inspired, confident, and empowered. So In the case of working on your business as a business owner, right? You got to feel inspired to do it. You got to feel confident in what you're doing and what you're working on, and how you're working on your business is going to take you where you want to go, is going to help you achieve your vision, and that you're empowered to understand how to run and lead and manage your business so that it's scalable and profitable and serves your life. So you can see we have this overarching idea of how our brand promise lives and how we use it then to work with our clients. So that's what you're going for. Just a few more key points. And again, you're going to get this in a document and a set of worksheets that will help you create this. It has a lot of other information that I'm just not able to get into here today to help you understand how to work with your team and your managers to implement and actually get this going in your business. But some key points to remember that we've talked about that I just want to summarize is your business has a brand, right? Which can or will be established by your customers, your competitors, or proactively by you. So think about that. You don't get to choose whether you have a brand or not. It's just, are you intentionally creating it proactively in the minds of your customers? Because if you don't do it, they will, or the worst thing that can happen, your competitors will. All right. Having a brand promise is a centerpiece of your leadership and management. It's an essential tool. It actually falls in one of the very first parts of our program, is developing the brand promise, because as I said, it becomes the thing that then gives the reason why to all the systems development you do in your business. Okay, why do we do it this way? Because it keeps our promise to our customer. Okay, why don't we do it that way? Because it breaks our promise, right? And we don't want to do that. So it really becomes the heart, one of the heart pieces of your company. Obviously, your vision and your core values, and the brand promise. That's kind of the trifecta. So the brand promise, again, is not a marketing tagline. This is not something you're going to put on your website. It's not something that you're going to paint on the side of your trucks or put a billboard up or whatever. It informs your unique selling proposition. It informs a marketing tagline, but it's not that. Okay, it's an internal leadership and management tool to help you create systems and process to deliver an incredible experience overall of your business. The written statement is just 2 or 3 sentences, but it could also be one. It can be one powerful sentence. I don't want you to limit that. So, but it just can't be big old paragraphs. It can't be 2 paragraphs or something, because here's the thing. Everybody in your business should be able to memorize it. Everybody in your business should be able to say, this is our brand promise. So that helps you know that it's got to be something that people can memorize and really, really feel enlivened by. Okay, and again, lastly, I talked about this just a moment ago, the brand promise with all of your systems development and how you build customer relationships and how you deliver great, customer service becomes the most foundational level of this is how we do it here. And that then is a rallying cry throughout your business for everybody. And then you don't have to worry. You don't have to always be in every place in your business, right? As a manager and a leader, one of the things you're always concerned about is, are people making the right decisions? Are they choosing and making decisions like I would make? Are they treating customers the way I would treat the customer? This gives you an ability to let go and know that your people are there and that you're all concerned about delivering on your brand promise. All right. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I hope this idea is really exciting to you and that you'll take it on. It's again, one of the most powerful things you can have in your business.